Good morning, welcome to Lillybrook and the 9th tee. Doing a very early start this morning, you can book the 9th tee. Now, years ago I got stuck on an 8 handicap and there was a very simple reason for this. The better I got at hitting the ball, the more risks I took and the less likely it was for me to actually make a decent score. So how do I determine these days what I'm going to take off a tee box? Well, this is a long par 4. If I hit a good drive, then there's definitely an opportunity for a 4, and if there's an opportunity for a 4, then there is an opportunity for a 3. If I hit a bad drive to the right, I might still make a 4, but it's more likely going to be a 5. If I hit a bad drive to the left, then we're looking at 5 and even 6. So I could go off this tee with a 3 wood or a 5 wood or a 3 hybrid. Take that 6 off the table, but unfortunately it takes the 3 and the 4 off the table as well. So you can play too safe. So what determines that I take driver down here? Well, it's the width of the fairway. It's wide enough for me. So that is what I do here. Might not do it elsewhere though. Well, we settled on driver in the end. This fairway is wide enough for me. I should be able to slot it down there without too much trouble. And if it's in the right rough, that's fine too. What isn't fine is hitting it down the left. So now it's time to be honest with yourself. We can't hit it where we would like to go, so we've got to hit it somewhere else. So I've opted for about 25 yards short of the green, down the right, and promptly smothered it into the trees on the left. But it did spit it out. So you've got to recognise the difference between a bad decision and a bad shot. I made a good decision to aim down there at the right. I just didn't achieve it when I should have done. So 8 iron onto the green, didn't get it far enough down. It's a bit early in the morning for good golf. Oh my word, wouldn't that have been nice to have actually made a par. This 10th, it's got mature trees right, and they actually hang over the fairway, making it narrower. There's bushes and lost ball right, there's a drainage ditch right, there's out of bounds right. And if you hit a really good drive up the left, then you can get behind that stand of pine trees and be blocked out from going for the green. That's why I choose 3 wood. Some days in the summer, I'll even hit 5 wood. I don't get the idea on ShotScope of saying hit your driver everywhere. Being 30 yards closer to the green, you'll score lower. When the reward for hitting driver is to hit a sand wedge into a green instead of a gap wedge, there's no reward. You're not suddenly going to turn into a professional golfer spinning it to 2 feet just because you are 1 club closer, or even 2 clubs closer. We aren't that good. It may well work for professionals, but it certainly doesn't work for us. Those trees are full of balls from people who it didn't work for. Little par 3, 2 bunkers left and right. Straightness is more important here than ego. So I've hit an 8 iron. I didn't step onto this tee with a pitching wedge and try and knock the cover off the ball. That's another thing that you really need to be honest about. It's how far you actually hit the ball with your short irons. And many people seem to think they hit it 30 yards further than they actually do, for some bizarre reason. Didn't see that.
Well, I've been hitting 3-wood up 12 all summer because the ground has been hard. Now it's driver. That's another piece of honesty, knowing that you have to club up. Now 12 always plays longer than its length because your second shot is off an upslope and uphill. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, can I actually do this with a long club? I can most of the time. Today I didn't. And that's the thing about this hole.
Well, that's safe.
You just know that your average is going to be a bogey as opposed to a par. It's just so difficult. And I'm certain that you will have a hole on your course which is equally difficult. So you take your bogey and you move on.
Yeah, sometimes on 12 that's all you can do, and you've got to be satisfied with a 5. 4 is very difficult. 6 is very easy. The 13th tee, and we have so many options here, from 4 hybrid to driver. Driver can get me into a very nice position. It can also get me out of bounds, lost ball, behind the trees. And who wants to make a 5 or a 6 on a little short par 4 like this? My normal shot would be a 3-wood, drawn, hopefully, to the left side, just on the ridge, where I've got a view of the green, and I'll leave myself 66 to 75 yards. But I'm not feeling it today. Not after an enforced break and a very stiff back because of that sciatica. Pain's gone, stiffness remains. So as I'm not feeling it, 3 hybrid seems to be a sensible option. And you've got to be honest with yourself as well. You can't copy paste exactly what you did last time, because today you might be striking the ball so much worse.
Being honest with yourself about your ability and what your body is doing today and what your swing is doing today will certainly lead to lower scores.
Yeah, there's so little stress in that shot. Even if I hit it poorly, I'd be okay because the hole is so short. There's no need to take risks. I certainly don't want a 6 here, do you?
This green is a bowl, so I can use the sides of it to get the ball to the hole. I didn't fancy going straight down the flag because of the right hand bunker. So I've landed on the bank there on the right of this screen. Let's come all the way back to the middle.
Turn in! You did. Not bad for an old man, eh?
14 is a hole where you require height and not length. You don't see the good players in the golf club hitting driver here. You only see the bad players hitting driver. And if you don't think the hill is tall, well, that's it looking back down to the tee. You need height. And if you do that, you end up on this little flat area. You've seen me all summer struggling down that bank on the left with the ball way above my feet. Now that the ground is holding, why would I keep going down that bank? Let's say the good players hit it in the air. They hit a 4-iron, maybe a 5-iron, some of the longer ones. They don't hit driver. Not on this hole. And you don't need it. It's only a 9-iron or a wedge in.
Number 15. It's downhill to start with, but you land into a fairway that's against you, so the ball's going to stop and come up short. There's no run out here. So you'd be a long way back, and I'm probably going to get a 5. If I'm probably going to get a 5, why don't I hit a 3 wood for safety? Well, that's going to leave me too far back. And because there is nowhere to safely lay up to a 30 or 40 yard pitch, because of the severity of the slopes at the green, I might even bring 6 into the equation, never mind 5. So I might as well hit my driver. The fairway's wide enough, and that gives me an opportunity for a 4. And if I hit a decent one, I do occasionally get a birdie here. I think it would be soft enough for that direction.
Well, the lie says I can't go for the green. It's not good enough. So it's up the bank on the right. That's what I can do. You've got to do what you can do, not what you'd like to do. Fortunately, it is now soft and the grass is growing. A few weeks back, that would have rolled hard. 70 yards, 80 yards left. And I'd had a full pitching wedge into the green. So it's playing easier than it was, but it's still a very difficult hole. "16 is the joker in the pack. Quite simply, the further you hit it, the wider it gets. And you've got to get over all the slopes anyway to make it easier for the second shot. I'm still on a slope here, as you can see, but if I'd hit 3 wood or 5 wood off the tee, I'd be in an awful lot of bother. So there are times when hitting driver as far as you can is most certainly the correct choice. But you've got a huge amount of width on that 16th. Some holes don't. Some holes you've got to be a bit more careful over what you're doing.
Number 17, and another place where you've just got to have a very honest conversation with yourself. We've got the big pond down the right hand side that I pulled 250 balls out of when the water was all the way at the bottom, and you've got a singular bunker left. So your 3 options are knock it on the green, take a club less, perhaps aim at the left hand bunker, come up a little short, hope for a bounce and a roll onto the green, or take 2 clubs less and go well up the hill and then have the big roll onto the green. I think it's too soft. I think option 3 is off the table. So the question is how do you feel here, and how have you been playing, and choose your tee club accordingly. I haven't made up my mind yet. It's 3 hybrid or 4 hybrid.
Well, in the end I opted for a 4 hybrid to the left edge of the green. Instead I hit one of those ugly pulls I've been trying to get rid of, and it did come down the bank a bit and into the bunker. Now, I'm not worried about playing a bunker shot towards water. I've holed out of these bunkers. They've got plenty of sand in, so they're relatively easy to play out of. Not quite holed out today.
Go that way.
And a green that is incredibly difficult to read.
Now, I know if you're a senior of 70 plus years of age and you only hit your driver 190 to 200 yards, much of this probably doesn't apply to you because you're using driver on long par 3s and everywhere else because you just simply have to. But if you're somebody who's struggling a little bit and you don't know why, then you need to be a bit more honest with yourself about the shot in front of you, the width of the fairway, how you're playing today, what is your strong suit and what is your weak suit. And to be fair, anytime you can get driver out of your hand, you're likely to score better, as opposed to shot scope telling you you must hit driver because that's the only way to score better. Really, it's on the website. Don't hit 3-wood off the tee, hit driver, get 30 yards closer, you'll score lower. What utter bollocks. Ta-ra.